Hello YouTubers, you're on a new episode of PCDC in which I talk about anything and everything politically correct about DC Comics. Now today I'm going to be going over my thoughts and review of the recent graphic novel Dark Knight, A True Batman Story. It's by Paul Dini, and in case you don't know out there, Paul Dini is a writer on Batman the Animated Series. He does some stuff for Spider-Man in the comics now. He wrote a lot of the episodes for Batman the Animated Series. Let's see, he wrote Heart of Ice, and then he's also written the first two Batman Arkham games. So he wrote Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City, the video games. So he's done a lot of different works and stuff. So this is basically a true story about him getting mugged, and I guess it takes place in the early 90s when he's working on Batman the Animated Series. It was right before the creative team with Bruce Timm, Alan Burnett, and Paul Dini and them were getting Mask of the Phantasm. And it's a story about getting mugged and surviving, and then what he had to go through, and what his life was like at that point. And it's probably one of the most profound and emotional graphic novels I have ever read in my life. In a lot of ways, I related to Paul Dini in this, but it is crazy. He pretty much imagines Batman characters as different parts of his emotions. So like Batman is the ideal hero that tries to bring him out. The Joker is everything negative. There's a little bit of Harley Quinn. After he gets mugged, his appearance looks different. Two-Face starts to get in there. So different villains attribute to different parts of his emotion and psyche after being mugged. It's a very, very different Batman story, but most of all, it's very real. I mean, it is real. It happened. And that's just crazy. I never knew that. I saw the story on Kevin Smith's podcast. I heard about it with him talking about being mugged and everything and almost dying. And then him just being alone, you know? There wasn't a Batman there to save him in real life like there is in the fictional comics and movies. And I just found that really, really heartbreaking. But most of all, it shows that even though there isn't a Batman, he is still a symbol for inspiration. And I found that powerful because that is one of the things that makes a character so relevant, and I think just touches the psyche of people. What makes him so interesting to everyone as a character. But I read this a couple of days ago, and the artwork is great. Eduardo Riso did the artwork, and the artwork's just so realistic. And you see Paul Dini the way he looks presently, talking about it, but it's just so vivid. Just like some of the artwork in this is a little crazy. It's Paul Dini. And then you get to like his imagination at the time. It's very real. And then the mugging is just insane. And just very, very visceral. Rarely, they tackle issues in comics and graphic novels, but rarely do you have a true story presented in this fashion. And it's just hard to watch. But like I said, I had no idea until I heard his podcast, and it's just crazy that this beloved writer, this guy who's written so many great Batman stories, went through this. And like, I mean, he's opened up about it now, but I had no idea. And you just like look and you're like, wow, that guy went through all this. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it shows why he keeps on writing Batman, because there's a time where he feels like giving up and not continuing writing, and it's just great. And it really shows, like, for everyone out there, even if you don't think you're making a difference, you are impacting somebody's life in some way. And you are important, and that's one thing that this conveyed. And I have to say, Paul Dini is a real hero and has a lot of courage and bravery for opening up to this story that is so real. And I'm glad he kept moving forward. I mean, he could have gave up and stopped, but you know, his muggers would have won. He gets to keep on creating Batman stories and doing what he loves. But I related to this very, very much. He talks about his imagination as a kid and then being kind of like an invisible child, and what he thought was like real relationships, and then like after he got mugged, he had nobody to go home to and hear them say, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" He was alone with like his games, action figures, and everything, just by himself. And I can kind of relate to that now, really. And I know the imagination stuff because as a filmmaker and storyteller, I'm just always kind of caught up in my mind. So just seeing how he is as a person, and I'm a big Batman fan too, and just of comics, just seeing that this could happen to anybody. This is real, and there is no Batman to save us. At least not in the way we're expecting him to, so it was very, very, very emotional. And it might be a little late, but I think this should get an Eisner Award, and I give it a 5 out of 5 and a 10 out of 10. It is probably one of the best, most profound graphic novels. It got to me emotionally, and I don't want to give everything away in this, but it's just great, from the storyboarding, the writing, the different characters, just all around everything. And then he even goes through like, hey, I imagined what it'd be like if Batman stopped the muggers, and the police never get to them and stuff. It's just heartbreaking. But it just shows, like, as a victim, are you going to continue to be succumbed by your muggers, or are you going to continue to get stronger and move forward? And just opening up about it, and this is very inspiring. It shows not only Batman's inspiration, but, like, just Paul Dini is like millions of other people in the world who go through this, or other type of stuff, or are very similar with their fears, and just shows you how a person can overcome this in life, and like what's important, who matters, and just what really matters in life. But it's one of my favorite graphic novels. It's Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns, and then I'd probably put this up there. And it's just very crazy. Now, going back to like watch Heart of Ice, other episodes Paul Dini does, Batman Beyond, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, his work in the Spider-Man comics, and then Batman Arkham Asylum, the game in Arkham City. And just thinking about like, wow, he went through this. And even Mask of the Phantasm, he did the Joker and Sal Valestra scene. Somebody else did the mugging scene, and he basically didn't want to come in to do work yet because he was still just bummed out after being mugged and out of it until later, which I'm not going to spoil, but if you read the graphic novel, it's very touching and inspiring. And I just want to get my thoughts out there, and I think everybody, whether you're a comic book fan, a Batman fan, or just any type of literature, just anything, a good story, especially a true story, check this out. You will not regret it. It shows what you can do in the comic medium and how powerful it can be. And then even like through real life experiences and the writing and what happens when you open up. And this will probably just inspire you. It inspired me, and it really got to me on a very deep level, more than I was expecting. So definitely check that out. That's just my thoughts. Quick little episode. And yeah. Check this out. It's great. And yeah. Tune in for our next couple of episodes. I'll be talking about different stuff, and the Ultimate Edition of BVS, Batman Superman Backlash, Suicide Squad, what I thought of Arrow Season 4, Flash Season 2, and what I think of the upcoming seasons of Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and all those. So yeah. And what I think of The Killing Joke. So be sure to check that out. And yeah. Just go and get this graphic novel. You will not regret it. It's great.